Hello. So, I've just started the second Mistborn book, Well of Ascension, and read the first section. This time the book has 6 parts, I think. Uh, so, so there'll be 6 videos probably. Um, this first section is interesting because I don't know if this is gonna make sense. I would say that this first section is on its own less fun to read than the first section of the first book. Less interesting on its own, but it sets up more interesting things later on. Is the feeling I'm getting. Basically, when I read the first section of the first book, I had a lot to say and a lot of thoughts about that actual section. This section, I don't have a ton of thoughts about the stuff that actually happens in it, more about where the story might be going from here. It's very much a setup section, where not a ton of stuff happens, um, which is fine. That's understandable for the beginning of your second book. There's some, subtle recapping of the first book and stuff like that going on. Uh, so there's several sort of like, I guess, threads weaving through this that I want to talk about. The first one is Strathventure, who I completely forgot exists. Like, I got to the end of the first book and I was thinking about what could happen in the next book, what the loose ends are, and the very fact that Strathventure exists and is out there somewhere did not even occur to me. Um, so good job for surprising me with that one, Brandon. Um, this book is clearly going to be dealing a bit more with like politics because now our heroes are in power, as it were. Elend is a full point of view character equal to Vin, from what I can tell. He sort of replaced Kelsier from the first book. Um, and the politics in Luthadel are interesting. I'm and concerning to me, because it kind of feels like Sanderson might be setting up a whole like democracy is bad theme. I hope I'm wrong, but the vibe I'm getting so far is like, uh, oh, Ellen should be an absolutist monarch. Like it's a problem that he has a parliament. At least Vin thinks so. We'll see if Vin turns out to be right. The first book didn't always agree with Vin on everything, so she might be wrong about that. So we'll see. Uh, but it's something to look out for, definitely. Um, what else is interesting here? Yeah, Sazed is a point of view character now, which I'm very happy about because I actually like Sazed a lot. I found him a very interesting character and an interesting concept, really, in the first book. So I'm looking forward to reading more about him. And his chapters are also some of the most interesting in terms of world building, because what we've got here is some interesting analysis of what happens with the common people, the Ska, out in the countryside when the final empire collapses. Um, these people are not, celebrating their newfound freedom. They're lost. They don't know what to do. They're like freaking out. They have no guidance in life anymore. They've spent so long doing what the lords tell them to. They don't know how to live any other way. And Sazed is sort of trying to fix that, trying to work on that, make them more independent. But even despite his work, uh, they are still convinced that the Lord Ruler is going to come back any second now and make everything the way it was again. Um, so I like that. I like that we don't get like just just total celebration and joy because the Lord Ruler is gone. Especially since, as far as I can gather, everything outside of Luthadel is like under the control of ruthless warlords like Strath. So it's not like people actually do have it any better in most places. The religious themes are continuing, with Sazed trying to spread religion, and by that I don't mean any particular religion, I just mean the concept of religion in general, to people. It's an interesting position. I don't agree with it, because I don't particularly like religion. I'm an atheist, but it is an interesting position that is kind of present in the first in Elantris as well. So it feels like it's more of a Sanderson position than the position of his characters, which is that people need religion, but not any particular religion. So it doesn't matter if the religion is true or what have you. What matters is that people believe in something. Which is, like I said, an interesting position, sociologically speaking. I can see an argument for it. I personally don't agree. I think people do need something to believe in, but I don't think it has to be of the supernatural variety. Although, I mean, in a world where magic exists, what really counts as supernatural, I guess. It certainly implied that there was some legitimacy to the Lord Ruler's claims of godhood. He does appear to have been keeping the deepness at bay. So I'm guessing that the mists appearing during the daytime are in fact the deepness. Which, by the way, is a bit of a silly name. Like, the deepness. It's very hard to take seriously. But I'll try my best. What else happens here? What the hell is your problem with Orisur, Vin? I mean, yeah, I know what your problem is. He ate Kelsier, but it's weird. It's weird that Vin is just abusing horribly this poor man this whole time. And I don't get the feeling... Like, I get the feeling that we're not supposed to like that. Like, it's not supposed to be an admirable trait. But I feel like the book doesn't acknowledge how bad it is. Like, it makes it really difficult for me to like Vin in any context. Like, even when she's not interacting with Orisur, when she's doing something else, I'm just constantly thinking about the fact that this character has spent the last year abusing her servant. Like, because she's racist. That's not a sympathetic... That's really difficult. It makes it really difficult for me to like Vin at this point. And I don't know if that was intentional. I don't know if I'm reading it as more severe than it's supposed to be. But, like, she made him be a dog. Like, it's pretty bad. She let some guys shoot him and didn't care. Come on, Vin. What the hell? She won't let him have a human body? Even the body of the people she killed because they were trying to kill her and her boyfriend. It's weird. And really, really messed up. I don't like it. Speaking of things that are weird and messed up, like, the age gap between Vin and Elend is already a bit iffy considering how young she is. and I'm already not super comfy with that. But then this section implies through Elend that it would have been reasonable and normal for Vin to be in love with Kelsier. He was like 38 and she was 16. What the hell are you talking about, Brandon? Like, even, and then Vin is like Elend is like, oh, why didn't you love Kelsier? And then Vin is like, because he was 38. And then her internal monologue is like, wait, that's not enough of an explanation. That's a good question. Why didn't I love Kelsier? And it's like, no, you got it right the first time. He was 38. That was the only explanation needed. I'm just uncomfortable with it, okay? Like, it's just weird. What else? We have two mystery figures here. We have the figure made out of mists that Vin sees, like a humanoid mist. I was gonna say mist wraith because it looks like a wraith, but mist wraiths are a different thing in this universe, so I don't know what it is, what to call it. Apparition. And then we have the Watcher, who is a Mistborn, who is sort of following Vin. I have a theory about... I don't know what to make of the apparition yet. I have no idea what to do with that yet. I'm not going to make any predictions about that. But I do have a theory about the Watcher. My theory is that the Watcher is the Mistborn who taught Kelsier. Because Kelsier mentions having a teacher in the first book, but unless I'm forgetting something, we never learn anything about that teacher. Like, where he found them, who they are, what happened to them. He just mentions that once he came out of the pits of Hatsin, he had a teacher in the ways of the Mistborn. So my theory is that we're gonna meet that we just met that teacher, and we're gonna get more details as Vin interacts with that character more. And I don't know what to make about the weird apparition, so I'm not gonna talk about that. As for the Inquisitors and Marsh, I am really getting some strong Broken Earth vibes from the Inquisitors. If you've read the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, then you'll know what I mean when I say that the Inquisitors are starting to seem a lot like the Guardians from that trilogy. This isn't me at all implying that N.K. Jemisin stole that idea from Brandon Sanderson. That would be insane. This is just me noting that there are similarities there, which I like, because I found the Guardians to be a really, really compelling part of the Broken Earth trilogy. So I'm glad to see what appears to be some similar concepts being explored here. I'm being very vague because I don't want to spoil the Broken Earth trilogy here. But suffice to say, I'm very much into what seems to be happening with the Inquisitors. And finally, I have some questions about the magic system, about allomancy. So, in the last book, we learn, like, we are first told that there are 10 metals, and then we learn about the 11th metal. And then we learn about aluminium. So we know for a fact that there are at least 12 metals at the end of the last book. In this book, we find out about duralumin, which is the alloy of aluminium. But here's the weird thing. Vin has correctly identified that the 11th metal is almost certainly an alloy of one of the two metals that don't have alloys, so gold and atium. And she calls the 11th metal malatium, which seems to imply that it's the alloy of atium. And that makes sense, because atium lets you see the future of others, so it's an external metal. And I would guess that it is a pushing metal, because you're seeing forward into the future. And malatium lets you see the past of other people, so it's a pulling metal. External. So both of them are external, whereas gold is an internal metal. So it wouldn't make sense for malatium to be paired with gold. So malatium would then be an alloy of atium. But we still haven't found the alloy of gold. Like, there's still, like, gold is still missing its pairing. And it feels like Vin thinks she has. Like, when Vin talks about this whole metal thing, she makes it sound like the alloys of gold and atium have both been discovered. And there's no need to research that any further. And so she's focused on aluminium. I think it might just be unclear writing, but reading this section makes me feel like the alloy of gold was discovered off screen and we just haven't been told what it is or what it does yet. I don't like that, if that's the case. I'm guessing it's probably just a bit of unclear writing on Sanderson's part, frankly. I feel like he just used some unfortunate phrasing when talking about this issue, and that this alloy is actually still undiscovered. And Vin definitely does believe that there is one more alloy, because she calls duralumin the 14th metal, and that would imply that there's 3 metals between duralumin and the 10 that we know about from the first book. So that would be that would be malatium, the gold alloy, and aluminium. Just something I noticed there, a weird little detail. Yeah, I think that's all I have. Wait, there's actually one more thing. We have a new character's diary entries at the beginning of every chapter. His name is Quan. And we also learned the name of the Hero of Ages from the previous book, the character we thought was gonna be the Lord Ruler for most of the book. His name was apparently Alendi. And Quan is... It's not really clear yet what Quan's relationship with Alendi was. Some kind of guide? Mentor, I guess? Either way, we don't really get a lot of Quan yet. Like, this early on, it's too early to say where that story is going. But yeah, I'm interested to see where this book goes. I can't really make any predictions because so far everything has been a bit of a surprise. I guess my not necessarily prediction, but hope is that Vin learns to treat Orisur like a person at some point. Jesus Christ. But yeah, other than that, I guess that's all I have to say for now. See you next time.